Welcome black. Live Dassini, your host, Ja Dreads. We back for another banger here. I promised my viewers that I had another set of books coming in. I know you're familiar with the Lights, Camera, and Obstacles, which are my TV production books for independent TV producers. But I also wrote another series of books that I want to introduce y'all to today, which is the Yvonne and I series. I came up with the idea of Yvonne and I. The character is named after my mom. Would have loved to use one of my granddaughters or use one of my daughters, but that didn't work out. So I stuck with my mom name, which is Yvonne once again, and the and could be followed by anything. Like, let's start with book number one. Book number one was Yvonne and the Magical Bedtime Balloon. Actually, this is the one book that sold out. So I don't have the physical copy of the book with me at this moment because, like I explained, it's sold out. But you can always go on Amazon. You can order the book. You can order the ebook over there. And this was the first book that I wrote. And in this book, Yvonne is visited by a magical bedtime balloon. It's a bedtime story. So I wanted to start with something that was inclusive for parents and children. You know, what's the easiest time to spend with kids is to read a story to them before they go to sleep. So that's why the first book is actually a bedtime story. And like I said, the magical balloon visits her and it takes her on an adventure that you just have to read it to get the logistics of it, to get the feeling of it. But the characters are in there. I didn't notice this at first when I first wrote the book, but a lot of the hashtags that I've been receiving is like girl power and that type of stuff, which is also good because, like I said, I have 4 daughters and 4 granddaughters, and I would actually want them to be empowered. But once again, here's the first book. I wanted to work a little bit more on the graphic arts and just have a lot more control over that. But this is a whole different entity than doing ebooks. So cover-wise, everything has to be accurate, has to be measured correctly. And at first, that was hindering me from being able to publish these books. And, that wasn't going to work. Getting stuck on this one book, I would have never been able to do the next 6 books behind it. So in total right now, we have a 6-book series, 7 book in total, because I also have a surprise book for you. So that was book number 1. And like I said, it's the magical bedtime balloon. So let's get to book number 2, which is Yvonne and the Magic Library Card. Okay? And in this book, she visits the library, as you can see. If you can see, she visits the library here. And she obtains a library card. Let me just read a page out the book for you. Let's start with the first page. Yvonne loved visiting the library. It was her favorite quiet place, full of big books, small books, and stories that made her smile. So, from the first page, we are going in hard because if you have any memories of going to the library when you were young and just exploring the books and picking out books that you wanted to take home to read, it was a whole experience. I know modern day kids, y'all have Google and certain stuff to where your Wikipedia, where you feel you don't have to go to the library. But the library and having a library card, you might not want to take books out but you might want to go on the computer in this modern age. So you do need a library card still to actively function inside the library, if that makes sense. So also in this book, she obtains the library card and she starts off with a jungle adventure. She goes through the jungle. She meets a friend. She ends up back in the library. So when she ends up back in the library, her next book that she gets is a pirate treasure hunt. And she's fantasizing, she's using her imagination while she's reading these books, actually. So she becomes a character inside each book she picks in the library. So she experienced riding on a pirate ship. She meets a pirate captain. They go on a treasure hunt. And then she's back to the library once again. Her next book was The Sky Castle, which is a castle in the sky. You know, all little girls, they loved castles, fairies, those type of things. So she meets a princess fairy, and she shows her around the castle. She shows her around the land. And then the adventure ends, you know, and she's back in the library. So she looks at her library card. She takes all the books. She takes them out, takes them home so she can read them further. And before she goes to sleep, her library card lights up. And she says, "Thank you, magic library card. I'll see you again soon." And then as she drifted into sweet dreams, her library card shimmered softly in her backpack, ready for tomorrow's adventure. And like I said, that's Yvonne and the magic library card. So this is book 2, actually. So each book has the number on the bottom of and before my name for the author. So we're at book 3, which is Yvonne and the Midnight Train to Dreamland. So once again, this is another bedtime story book. And the purpose of writing bedtime stories is for the parent to be able to engage the child and have that moment with the child. Okay, the best thing you can do for your children is read to them from young, because this encourages them to read and this encourages them to want to read. So let's read a page from here. Let's read the first page. It was a quiet night, and Yvonne snuggled into her bed, her stuffed bunny tucked under her arm. So she was basically preparing for bed, and as she got restless, her imagination began to go with her. So a train comes, a midnight train, and it takes her from her bedroom. It takes her on a magical adventure, okay? And we get to follow her through this magical adventure. So let's see what her first stop was. Her first stop was Candy Cloud Valley, okay? All kids love candy, and they go to Candy Cloud Valley before you go to sleep. Definitely having some sweet dreams while you're sleeping. So she went to Candy Cloud Valley, and she floated around in the sky. You can see she still has her pet bunny with her on this adventure. And the next thing you know, the train is hooted again, off to the next adventure. So her next stop was the Giggle Garden, okay, where colorful flowers told silly jokes and ticklish butterflies flooded everywhere. And you can see the butterflies, you can see the flowers there. The illustrations also was done by me, original character. She danced and laughed with ladybugs and spun in circles with a giggling gnome. So we've seen the gnome. So the train ding dings again is off to the next destination. Her next destination is Pillow Puff Meadows. Okay. So she's on her way there. And as you can see, Pillow Puff Meadows is a way for her to get closer to laying her head down on the pillow. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, she's basically daydreaming and stuff before she goes to sleep. And before you know it, the conductor is back to get her. And the conductor happens to be a rabbit also. And he lets Yvonne know it's time to travel home, dream traveler. So the midnight train heads home, which is her next stop. It drops her off back in her room, and the train disappears with a quiet shimmer. Yvonne cuddles her teddy bear and is off to dreamland for her, dreaming about the next adventure. Which, her next adventure, which is book 4, is Yvonne and the Great Cupcake Caper. So, one of Yvonne's favorite things is cupcakes. She loves cupcakes, okay? This is established from page 1. Yvonne loved cupcakes more than anything in the world. Chocolate, vanilla, sprinkles, or swirls. She loved them all. And then the adventure begins. So, this day was a very special day for her, and she took a trip to Sunnyvale's Cupcake Carnival. Okay, I explained she loves cupcakes, so now she's going to a cupcake carnival. It gets no better than that right there. The whole town was there, and as you can see, in her town, there's people, there's animals. You know what I'm saying? It's a make-believe town. I'm pretty sure when you were young, you might have had a make-believe town. I'm pretty sure your children, they have their little make-believe towns now. So she's in a make-believe town. But all she could think about is these cupcakes. And when she got there, guess what? The cupcakes was gone. So this is when the caper begins, okay? So Yvonne becomes a detective and now is on the hunt to find where did these cupcakes disappear to. Okay, she has help. Once again, her bunny's with her, one of her favorite, with her to help. Bunny has his carrot. He ain't really thinking about the cupcakes. She asks the dog, she asks squirrel. She's trying to find these cupcakes. Okay. But believe me, before you get to the end of the story, we will find what happened to these cupcakes, basically. And guess what? Okay. Somebody she questioned happened to be one of the suspects. Okay. And to make a long story short, okay, he confesses. And Yvonne is not mad at him because these cupcakes are her favorite, so we know it might be their favorite also, you know. And he admitted to it. So he was forgiven, and that's the moral of the story is learning how to forgive people. Sometimes people make mistakes also. And they decided to bake more cupcakes together. Okay, so everybody can have cupcakes now. So we baked the cupcakes and we brought them to the townspeople. The townspeople cheered. Okay. This is like a great moment for them. They cheered for those new cupcakes. They thanked her. They thanked her friends for making them. As you can see in one of the pictures, she had went home and her friends helped her make the cupcakes. Finally, even though she loved all the cupcakes, we find out at the end of the story, she was able to bring one cupcake home. And this cupcake was strawberry swirl with rainbow sprinkles. And of course, Yvonne says that's her favorite. So, out of all the cupcakes I named in the beginning of the story, it is the strawberry swirl and rainbow sprinkles that's officially Yvonne's favorite cupcake. So, once again, this was book number 4, Yvonne and the Cupcake Caper. Boy, do we have a caper. But as you can see, Yvonne represents the whole Sini brand, the whole Staten Island. And you'll find a lot of New York flavor and New York feel in these covers. And inside the books also, if you don't see it on the cover. So book number 5 is Yvonne and the Birthday Wish Adventure. Okay. As you can see, where's Yvonne at? She's over here. She's up here today. So let's read a page from here. So let's start with the first page. Like the rest of the books, once upon a time, in a cozy little cottage at the edge of Whimsy Woods lived a curious and kind girl named Yvonne. And like we said, it's her birthday. Everybody loves birthdays. Everybody loves cakes for birthdays. But I think the most important thing people love is the gifts of birthdays. Her parents surprised her with her favorite breakfast, which is pancakes, as you can see, with strawberry syrup. And then after she decided, it's time for her to go on a birthday adventure. So this is where we begin at. So she goes out on her birthday adventure, skips down the path into Whimsy Woods, and the trees whisper happy birthday to her. So now, this adventure is dealing with her birthday wish and where she's going to go to make this birthday wish. So, as you can see in the illustration, that was Tobias the turtle, and he was asking where you're going to make the birthday wish. And I guess she didn't have like a real destination to go, so he told her to try Crystal Creek. So that's where she's headed to. She gets to Crystal Creek and she runs into a fish. She makes her wish, but he splashes her. So she thinks to herself, after wiping herself dry, maybe there's a better place to make this wish. Okay? So her next stop It's through the sunflowers, and she runs into a buzzing bee, okay, who tells her maybe she should go to the mountaintops, to the hilltops. So she heads to the hilltops, and as you can imagine, it's windy. So she's holding on tightly to a cupcake, and she's trying to make her wish, but it's so windy, it's becoming impossible to do. Okay. So she goes back down the hill, and she heads through giggling grass and the tickly ferns. And there she met a fox named Felix. And it seems like everybody has their own special place they want to direct her to make this special wish. So Felix the Fox directs her to Starlight Glade. And he tells her at twilight is filled with magic. So she makes her way there. And she arrives. She places her cupcake on a mossy rock, closed her eyes, and made her birthday wish with all her heart. As you can see. So, now it's time to head back home, okay? And as she headed back home, she's running into all of her friends who directed her to where she can go make this birthday wish. And of course, hey, we can kind of decipher what was her wish because they're at a birthday party now and she's celebrating with her friends. They're dancing, they're sharing cupcakes, which are her favorite, and she says, this is the best birthday ever. Before she go home, she sit down, she recollects about the day, and she realized that her birthday wish was answered. Exactly what I was just explaining to y'all. As she walked home, she thanked the moon for the beautiful adventure. So, we got through book number 5. Now let's get to book number 6, which was a very special book for me to write. Once again, see Yvonne's representing. She represents Sini, she represents the island, and we have Liberty, Lady Liberty here also. So if you have not gathered yet, but the solar power ferry ride is actually a Staten Island ferry boat, a special one. So let's start with page 1. It was a bright, sunny morning in New York City. Yvonne was bubbling with excitement. First page. So she plans a special adventure, and like I said, this ride is on the Staten Island Ferry. When she arrives at the boat and she arrives at the dock, she realizes that this ferry that they're going on is a special ferry. It's solar powered. So she notices the solar power panels all around the boat. And she sees where the power is coming from, which is the sun. You know, solar power is powered by the sun. Okay. She explains to her mom that this boat is called a Solera, and it's solar powered. And she also explains to her mom it's powered by the sun and sometimes the wind also. So to her, this boat is like a superhero boat. Okay. She meets the captain on the boat, and the captain decides to take her inside, give her a tour of the boat, and show her how the sunlight and wind powers the boat. Okay. And the reason why it's so important for green energy, so this is a green energy book, is because there's no smoke, there's no pollution, and then the engine is not making all of that noise either. Okay? It's just clean green energy that's being produced and used. Okay? So she's going across the water and she's noticing that the solar panels are reacting to the background, the skyscrapers as they go by, the spinning wind turbines. Other buildings have rooftop solar panels. And it's not just the boat that's being energized by the solar panels. The buildings, the electricity is also coming from the solar panels. So she's taking notes and she decided that she wanted to draw a picture of the spinning turbines and the shiny panels. Okay. And suddenly, the boat slows down. And when they troubleshoot to find out what's going on, one of the solar panels wasn't charging. So, as helpful as Yvonne is, she asked the captain, can she help? And the captain gave her a special green badge so she can be able to help. And people know she's an honorary member of the crew. It says, welcome to the team. So she goes around the boat carefully from top to bottom with the crew. She wipes off. She finds a solar panel that was dusty. She wipes it off. It lit up and beeped. And the power was back full again. So now they continue their journey. The rest of the passengers were so happy. They cheered Yvonne. You know, I guess the people in the boat, they decided they wanted to do fireworks behind her also. So they gave a fireworks show. And as she went by, like many people do, she saluted the Statue of Liberty. Hello, Lady Liberty. And they returned home, you know. Back to the docks. Back home. And the Solara sailed into the golden sunset. Yvonne beamed an honorary green energy engineer card with dreams as bright as the sun. So she got to take her honorary engineer card home with her. So this was book 6, which completes the series for now. But like I said, there was a special book. And it ties back in to, once again, the solar panel, solar powered ferry ride. So this is the solar panel remix. Okay, so this is actually book 6 again. But as you can see, A lot of people, they do different versions of the book. It's not just color versions. Sometimes they do black and white versions. So this was my solar panel version. And this was a special book and special to the series. And a beautiful way to introduce the youth and the younger kids into green energy, which is very important. And it is the future, you know? So, now that we went through all the books in the series, let's talk about what's next for Yvonne. So, we have another series of books coming out, and believe me, when those books are done, I will definitely bring them straight here to you. And we're going to continue doing a few New York landmarks. I recently was at the Bronx Zoo. I think that should be incorporated into a story with her. I'm from Brooklyn. I grew up really hand in hand next to Prospect Park. So I think Prospect Park is going to be a book. I'm also dedicated to doing like alphabet for young kids, maybe help them learn the different letters of the alphabet, and maybe even a numbers book, counting, you know. These books are created to be not only educational, but interactive with the parent and the child together. This is something, I call it quality time, you know. This is quality time that you can get in with your children. It's very important that you read to them because they need to know the importance of reading. Okay? Having these books, I know we live in a modern world where ebooks are everything, but these books are everything really because you get to hold them in your hand, you get to go through the pages physically, you get to let your imagination go with the illustrations and artwork and everything behind it. I totally enjoyed writing these books. I actually had another series I was going to do before this one, and I put that on the back burner because life is so short and time is going so quick. You know, I have 4 young granddaughters now, and this is something that I feel, even as a grandparent, I'm able to interact with them, I'm able to read with them, I'm able to really answer questions they may have, not only with life. I explained to you that this character is named after my mom also. So maybe they might have questions about their grandmother that, you know, it brings just by her name being in the atmosphere and being out there like that, it makes them want to ask these questions. I would really like my viewers to reach out to me. Do you have any suggestions of books I should write? Because honestly, I have another 15 to 20 manuscripts already just sitting there, you know, waiting to be published. And I want to publish the optimum stories and the optimum books this time, you know. How do you feel about the character having the New York feel to it? Do you think I should continue that? Or do you think it's something that I should just do when I do New York-based stories or landmark-based stories around New York, you know? I'm thinking also about doing maybe a family reunion book, and in one of the books, in the birthday caper, no, in the birthday, let's see. Yeah, it was the Cupcake caper. No, the birthday whoosh. In the birthday whoosh book, you got to see Yvonne parents. Okay, so do you think y'all would like to meet more of Yvonne's family, or should I just keep it strictly to Yvonne by herself? You know what I'm saying? See, her mom and her dad is there, and maybe they should be included in more of the books also. So I would love some feedback on that. I'm also thinking about doing, because I don't want anybody to feel excluded. So I'm also thinking about doing a book with a male character for young men. So I'm working out the logistics of that. Do you think I should write the next series of these books and then write the next character book after that? Or maybe I should work on that character book first and do a series and then continue Yvonne's series after that. So please, your feedback is very much needed. Also, I need y'all to engage with me on these YouTube pages, on these Instagram pages. I need y'all to like, I need y'all to share, I need y'all to comment. And like I said, I really need feedback when it comes to these books because I plan to do more, but I want to make sure my next set of books cater to my viewers and the customers and my consumers, and feedback is very much needed. You can find every book on Amazon. You can look at the title, Yvonne, and or you can look up the author name and find them through there. Also on there, leave me some comments, leave me something, interact with me so they know that people are enjoying what I'm doing, people are liking what I'm doing. You know, I was so happy to complete this series. I almost was not able to complete the series because, like I told you in the beginning, book one, creating the cover was giving me such a problem that it became frustrating. And when things get frustrating, sometimes you have to walk away, think about the situation, troubleshoot the situation, and then come back and do things a different way. So I walked away. I came back and I decided to go ahead with book number two. And book number two ended up giving me the same problem. So I went ahead with book number three. And you guessed it right. Book number three, same problem again. So when book number four, I decided to just change my whole format around, mainly the cover issue. And that worked. So once again, I didn't stop. I did book number five, okay, and book number six because I had a winning method I was using. And the first three books, I published them as ebooks. So after I published the book number six, I went back and I started correcting whatever I needed to correct on book number one, book number two, book number three, and I got them published also. So you don't let nothing discourage you from what you're trying to do. Get the job done, My objective, once again, I explained in the beginning, was to have like a quality moment with my grandchildren, my granddaughters, even with my neighbors. These books are going so fast, everybody who's purchasing them, I'm just asking them to just do something different. Take the time to go home and read the book. Read the book, buy the series, read all the books to the children. And that starts to fuse to them becoming readers themselves, Even the library, okay? Hopefully that opens not a question, but an opportunity for you to take your child to the library and visit the library with them. The library is totally different from when I was growing up. Everything was the Dewey Decimal System, but I'm pretty sure you can find stuff easier there. Or even you can take them to somewhere like the Children's Museum in Snub Harbor, And that might be another book that I work out also. But it's all about engaging them while they're young and getting them to put the phone down, you know, getting them to use their imagination and to not, the imagination is what it shows your individuality because most times people is not going to imagine the same thing. What I imagine, you might imagine something different. So it's like an individuality, and it's great exercise for your brain. We have to exercise our brain. We have to engage our brain, you know. A lot of these books are bedtime stories. I mean, you can use all of these books as bedtime stories if you actually want to. But they also open discussions that you can have with your children before reading them, after reading them. You have a line of questions. Some of these things might go over their head. So you always ask, do they have any questions? Or, you know, you take questions while you're reading the story also, okay? Another great thing about this book is that we found out Yvonne loved cupcakes, okay? And in the beginning, it said vanilla, chocolate, this kind, that kind, this kind. But by the end of the book, we really found out what was her favorite cupcake. So that was great also. We just recapping. This book, which is book 5, it was the birthday wish adventure. I don't think there's nothing wrong with wishing or, that type of stuff, and her wish came true. Her wish was to celebrate with her friends and have cupcake parties and dance and sing and all of that stuff. So she enjoyed it, okay? An engaging question would be, everybody's birthday was secret, but just for the time of reading the story, maybe you can tell your child what was your birthday wish, or maybe you can find out what their birthday wish was also. It's all about engaging and keeping the line of communication open, and introducing them to something different than scrolling up and down on the phone. And like I said, this book here was the Solar Power Ferry Ride, which is probably the solar power is like the next wave to everything. Windmills is like the next wave to everything. So it's a good way to introduce them to green economy, green energy, not economy, but green energy. You know what I'm saying? It's a great way to introduce it to them. And it's also kind of like a science fiction. Once again, using imagination, using, creativity, letting your mind wander and linger. But it's real life, And it's maybe a topic that you thought you would never be able to talk to your child about. Guess what? We got a book you can talk to them about that. And the special book, which is a remix of book number 6. Like I said, it's really, the illustrations are a little different from the other book. You see, this is reminiscent of the title. This is a solar panel remix. So every page is remixed through the solar panel, basically. Which is another conversation starter. Just reading to your kids, it doesn't get any better than that, My next series of books after Yvonne, and after the next character I talked about, okay, remember I promised you I was going to do some books on the cannabis industry. So I have those manuscripts already written out. They're just not published. And it's crazy when you write these books. They're all different series and all different areas, but that's the great thing about being an author, and that's the great thing about writing books. You have different audiences that need to read this stuff here. I'm also thinking about doing some comic books too. I might have to ask Ash. Hey, he's the expert in that type of stuff. He's also the one that directed me, taught me, okay, and directed me in the right direction to putting these books together. So I have to go back to him, find out how to do the comic books. I also got into characters, period, because as you can see, this was a consistent character. Thinking about doing some cartoons or an animated series or some more merchandise. If you would like to see more merchandise with Yvonne, let me know. But I have other characters that's lined up that I have been working on and doing little short videos and stuff with them. Also, I have been working on a father's inspiration page too, with videos for dad to inspire them, words of wisdom, you know, just trying to keep myself busy. Everything is not about this one show, you know what I'm saying? I'm definitely not no one trick pony, okay? I think now that I think about it, we need to do an art book too. So I'm gonna put together maybe some of my artwork, or maybe create new artwork and do like a coffee table art book where you can just go through, and it may have like the description of what style is in, or the colors that's in it, but nothing too much. You know what I'm saying? Picture is worth 1,000 words. I really want you to look at those pictures, and then you see what you see, and you come up with what you come up with, but not what I write across there, because we won't see the same thing. You know? And I think that's a real good idea. I do have an art project coming up soon, within the next month for Halloween, where we'll be out there painting pumpkins and letting the children explore their imagination. I don't know why that word is stuck with me, but it's gonna be a great experience. You know what I'm saying? I think this is probably, I'm working with Diane Daniels. This is a Diane Daniels special pumpkin painting. So this will be my first time attending, and sky's the limit. It's gonna be inside Snug Harbor, I believe. I might be wrong. Don't quote me on that. I will promise that by my next show, I will have the flyer up. We'll have all the information. If you want to come out, come out. It's free. I think we provide the pumpkins. We provide everything you need. All we need is the parent to get the child there. That's it. So that's something to look forward to. Another show coming up. Trailblazers and Terpenes. Look out for that. For my cannabis people, that's on the way. And we're trying to really get the art show how we want to get the art show. The art show is like 3 art shows right now. We can probably do 3 different art shows, but I want to at least get it down to 2. My original idea of an art show and the art show that we came up with last year. So please look forward to that. if you have any talent, even though that sounds crazy, because everybody has talent, but if you have any talent that you want to bring to television and you want to showcase on television, okay, this is the best way to get in contact with me, or even Instagram. Hit me up, send me a message. We could set up maybe show ideas, and get this thing on the move. You know, I'm definitely looking for more Staten Island talent, more intriguing stories from Staten Island, and please don't ever forget that this is a Staten Island show. You know, this is Live That, but the SINY stands for Staten Island, New York. And we take that very, very personal. You know, I talk about Brooklyn a lot. I'm from Brooklyn. You can hear the Brooklyn accent, blah, 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 blah. But it's not where you from, it's where you at. You know what I'm saying? So with all of that, I still represent Staten Island wherever I go, okay? And it's time for you to come out and represent too for Staten Island. Been doing this show for quite a long time. We have archived entrepreneurs, singers, rappers, actors, dancers, and this is from Staten Island alone. But that's not even hitting the tip of the iceberg, okay? There's so much talent out here. Please hit me up, livethatcini@gmail.com, or you can go on Instagram and you can hit me up. I believe it's at Infamous King Jadrez over there. And you can check out the page. I've been posting a lot of clips, which is new. I think people rather watch the clips than watch the long show. I'm not mad at them as long as they're going to watch, period. You know what I'm saying? We had a special show coming up. I don't want to spoil it. Still, one thing on my bucket list, two things, okay? And I can't wait till the day I can check them off. I have a children's show coming up. I have some talented children. Okay, they were supposed to get here before school returned. And school is tomorrow, so they still haven't gotten here yet. But we're still working on that. Maybe we can get them here on the weekend or whatever. That's going to happen. And my other bucket list show is I want to do a live show. So we got to see how that's going to work out, because when you do the live show, you got to be here early. So I might have to spend the night in area 52 outside just so I can be here early, because you can't depend on too much out here. I don't want to dog them, but you really can't depend on them too much. And I want people to be not free, but able to call in and ask questions live or whatever. You know, if that's not going to work, then maybe I'll do a live YouTube show where y'all can call in and ask me maybe 25 questions or 50 questions, or maybe we'll just do that show here. You know, this is why the feedback, the comments, everything is very much important. Shout out to my engineer, okay, for sticking with me. How long it been? 6 to 9 months now? We doing it, you know what I'm saying? I want to shout out the man upstairs for getting me up and getting me here and motivating me and getting me to do new things, try new things, put myself out there, okay? And don't be afraid to try new things and put yourself out there also, you know? If you didn't take away anything from watching my show, is that the sky is the limit. There's no limit to nothing you can do, okay? Can't is a word that should not be inside your vocabulary. So this is my birthday month, Okay. Anybody who wants to wish me a happy birthday, you can wish me here. You can send cards to the studio. You can send e-cards to my social medias. Okay. You pick and choose, you know? Now, quick recap. We went over the series of Yvonne and you can go on Amazon. You can check out this series, but also check out my first series of books, which is Light Camera Obstacles, which basically deals with TV production and the obstacles that maybe an independent TV producer might find themselves in. Okay, very interesting information there. Very interesting information and very neglect. Ne- the stories, I've been doing this from 2012, so the stories goes back to how I began and how I ended up where I am now. Okay, how I got to where I am now. Very insightful. This is the easiest way to find out anything you want to find out about my career. You know what I'm saying? And that's what's good about writing these books is that you find out more about me. A lot of times I come here and I'm just focused on my guests. Okay, these books and me doing interviews on other people's show, that makes me become they guest. That puts me out there. That gives y'all, the opportunity to learn more about me. Okay, it's not that I don't want to talk about myself. It's not that, it's hidden or whatever. It's just the spotlight. When my guests come here, I try to keep the spotlight on them. The next show, we should have somebody special here. Don't want to spoil it. Very special guest, musical guest, or hey, it could be one of them chaotic shows where it's like 8, 9 people, okay, and I just have to rotate them. But guess what? It's something I enjoy doing. Everybody deserves, okay, this spotlight. If they don't get enough time to tell their story, believe me, I'll bring them back. This show is an hour show. I enjoy talking and getting to know people for an hour. So hopefully you got to know me a little bit better for this hour, learn more about these books that I promise you, and look forward to everything else that we got coming up. Until next time.
Fire, 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 fire. Kill it. Rasta music, Rasta music. Yes, sir. Yes, yes, S-I-N-Y. Yeah, man. Yes, sir. Yeah,